Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. Today, it's a little bit early for my monthly music finds video, but I've got a lot of records this month, and I just recently did something that I don't get to do much, which is go to actual record stores. As many of you know, in my hometown, I don't have really any record stores except for one very small place. It's hit or miss depending on the items that they have, whether they fit my likes, etc. So I was visiting Charlottesville, Virginia, which has several different types of record stores, and I've got a laptop open, so excuse my hands moving here. But couple of record stores that I went to, one that I've been to several times, had a huge haul from them, and then another store that was a first time visit for me. So let me jump in. The first store that I went to um, is called Plan 9 Records. Now, Plan 9 has a couple different stores, one in Charlottesville, the other one in Richmond, in the state capital. So this is the Charlottesville location. Been there before. I've gotten some cool things, but grabbed about 7 or 8 records that I'll go ahead and show you in no particular order. The first is Leon Redbone, From Branch to Branch. It's still in partial shrink. I probably will take most of that off. On the Atco label, Leon Redbone, classic, kind of a quirky singer from, essentially he's pulling from the days of the 1920s, Al Jolson and people like that. But I mean, he does "Your Cheating Heart" by Hank Williams, "Why" by Jelly Roll Morton, "My Blue Heaven," "When You Wish Upon a Star," "Hot Time in the Old Town Tonight." Great record, $4. I asked the guys at the record store, I'm like, why is this in the $4 section? Is it because it, is tore up, or is it because nobody wants it? And they said nobody wants it, which is what I figured, but I just wanted to double check. I love Leon Redbone. So happy to add that to the collection. The second one, another Leon Redbone. This is Double Time, one of his classic album covers there. Very, very cool. This is from 1977 on Warner Brothers, I believe. Yeah, so there is that. Again, some of the hits some of the songs on here: "Diddy Wah Diddy," "Shine on Harvest Moon," "Mississippi Delta Blues," "Chic of Araby." So I'm really happy to have this. It looks like Don McLean is on here, the American Pie singer. So really cool that he is on there as well. But again, more of the same. Also $4. Next, this was something I was very excited to find. This is Norman Blake, "Whiskey Before Breakfast." This was only $10. Norman Blake, great acoustic guitar player. Played with Tony Rice. Plays with all those classic guys. David Grisman. This is on the Rounder record label. That really cool Train on the label. I was really surprised to find this for $10, but it's just Norman on guitar and then Charlie Collins on a second guitar. Under the Double Eagle, "Old Gray Mare," "Sleepy Eye Joe," "Church Street Blues," "Slow Train Through Georgia." Really excited to have that. My first official, Rounder release of like the classic era Rounder anyway. Next, kind of took I filled up some of my Jackson Browne collection. I'm trying to get all this stuff on vinyl. Super clean copy of "Lawyers in Love." This obviously has "Lawyers in Love" on it. "Tender as the Night" is a great song. "For a Rocker" is another good one. There it is on the Asylum label. So happy to have that. It's one I always see, but this is a pretty clean copy. Where's the other one? Yeah. Also picked up his second album, "For Every Man." This is the album that has "Take It Easy" on it. Really solid record. It actually looks like it's from the same collection that Jay is also on the back of the Norman Blake record, the same collection. But yeah, "Take It Easy." I Thought It Was a Child. "These Days," "Redneck Friend," "For Every Man," with the classic what's his name, Jackson Brown kind of group of people. David Lindley, Sneaky Pete on pedal steel, Jim Keltner is on here, David Crosby makes a couple of appearances. So happy to have that for every man. I've been looking for that one in a pretty good condition. And next, I grabbed the first Elton John record. This is Empty Sky, one that I was missing in any format. This obviously has the song Skyline Pigeon on it, which is a great tune. This is on MCA with kind of like the Prisma label there. Obviously, this album was not really a hit. It wasn't until the second album that came out, which was called Elton John. That's really what kind of like catapulted him into the stratosphere. So Empty Sky by Elton John. Grabbed a couple of records by progressive bluegrass group, the Dillards. This is after Doug Dillard had left. You would know the Dillards as being on the Andy Griffith Show as the Darlin' Boys. From the mountains of North Carolina. They'd come into Mayberry and hang out, play some music. But this is a fantastic thing to find. I'm, really getting into bluegrass like this. I've always liked bluegrass, but at this point, you had the three original members of the Dillards, and then you had a couple of later additions. This is their album, Roots and Branches. So happy to have that. And then I also grabbed the Dillards versus the incredible LA Time Machine there with a slightly different lineup on there as well. But let me see. They do a version of Annabelle Lee. Let's see if they have anybody else on here. No, nobody else. This is from 1977 from Flying Fish Records. So happy to have a couple of Dillard's records officially in the collection. And then I grabbed this. This is my first Dave Clark 5 find. This is Glad All Over, the Dave Clark 5. Has bits and pieces on here all of the time. Do You Love Me? No Time to Lose, Doodah. Really, really happy to have this. It was in pretty clean condition. This is a mono copy, I believe. So Dave Clark 5, Glad All Over. One of the great kind of British pop, bands that were really just a flash in the pan at their time, but have really kind of picked up a different following in like the garage rock world there. And then the second store I went to was a store called Melody Supreme. Now, this place was the... I should say, also had Plan 9. I grabbed 2 CDs. I grabbed Hard Nosed the Highway by Van Morrison. I was missing this on CD for Van. And then a sealed copy of On the Corner. I have the outtakes that were put out as a Record Store Day release a year or two ago. Really, really trippy, funky, weird, noisy album, On the Corner. But happy to have both of those in the collection. I have a pretty big Miles Davis and Van Morrison collection, so happy to have those to clean up a couple of spots. Anyway, Melody Supreme is this place in downtown Charlottesville. It is just a tiny little, hole in the wall, very unassuming place with, a tiny sign over the door. And I looked at it last time I was in town and was really, trying to see if it was my kind of place. The pictures online made it look like they had a lot of new stuff, and I was like, yeah, I can buy new stuff online. Well, I was mistaken, because I went in this place, and though you walk in, it doesn't seem like it's got, it's not wall to wall. The stuff that they had was really good, and it was really good prices. I went there twice, and I'll give you a story for that in just a second. But I hung out there. The owner's a really cool dude. I didn't catch his name. He was a Frenchman, really, really knowledgeable guy. The second time that I went to visit, we had a nice long chat, probably about 20 minutes or so. And I'm excited to kind of get to know him a little bit, over the coming months. So very happy to make that connection. But the stuff that I saw, you had your standard stuff. You had your, underneath the shelves, you kind of had your beat up, torn scene kind of records, your dollar records that you get on your knees. You're kind of flipping through the dust and all that good stuff. Well, I was looking through the records. I had already picked up one record that I was going to get, and I got it. $7. Very, very, very clean copy of Every Picture Tells a Story by Rod Stewart. This obviously has Tomorrow's Such a Long Time, the Bob Dylan tune. Title track is awesome of Every Picture Tells a Story. Mandolin Wind, Maggie May, Reason to Believe, That's All Right Mama, the Elvis tune. Just really, really good stuff. I mean, you have Ron Wood is on here. Dick Powell is on here playing bass. Just, really, really good stuff. Solid rock and roll record, $7. Didn't have it on vinyl. Very, very happy to have that. So I picked that up and was, looking around, and then I looked up on the wall, where they have like the good stuff. And this might not mean anything to anybody, but it does to me. I saw, I saw this record right here. This is called the Bluegrass Album. It's a super group off of Rounder Records. You have J.D. Crowe, Tony Rice, Doyle Lawson, Bobby Hicks, and Todd Phillips. I've actually met Doyle Lawson. I've given his hand a shake. And then he turned around and said, "Why are you shaking my hand?" He didn't do that. But classics on here, Blue Ridge Cabin Home, Molly and Tim Brooks, On My Way Back to the Old Home, River of Death. Just, solid stuff on Rounder. Liner notes, album notes are by Tony Rice himself. And this is the first of several albums that this group put out. Now, it's from 1986. I saw it on the wall, and it wasn't like crazy expensive. I mean, I'll tell you, it was $40. Okay, it was $40. Now, what I was thinking is these first press Rounders are hard to find. A lot of these were bought by older people that didn't necessarily care for the records, or they were cheap records in their day. They weren't popular, so they weren't pressed many times, if only just the one time. But I saw this. I was looking at it. My fiance at this point had joined me at the store. She had another get together earlier in the morning. So I was like going back and forth. I'm like, do I get this record? Do I not? My buddy, Ernest Eldridge, over at the Trailer Park Pimp, he has shown this record a couple of times. And, has talked, up and down about it. And so I end up just getting the Rod Stewart. And so then we go to lunch. I'm still toying with the idea in my head. Do I get that record? I've never heard the record before. I love Tony Rice. Love Doyle Lawson. What's their, Rounder's a great album, a great label. Finally, I decide when we're about to leave, I texted Ernie and was like, "Hey man, should I get this album? It's this much money. What would you do?" And he's like, "Yes, I'm on Discogs. This is about what it's going for." This copy is clean as a whistle. I mean, you can see, there's nothing wrong there. And so finally, my fiance was like, "Go and get it." So I went down there. I picked this up. So I was there twice in that day and felt good. Now, that was the first day that I made purchases. So technically, I guess I was there 3 times. But that first day that I was there, I saw another album that I knew my buddy Tommy over at Tommy's Musical Adventures loves this artist. And I know that he's been trying to get me to get the records of this artist. And the artist that I'm talking about is Gene Parsons. Now, if you don't know Gene Parsons, he was the last. He was in the last iteration of the Byrds, so he was the drummer for the Byrds. But he was also quite an inventive guy. Him and Clarence White, who was one of the later guitarists of the Byrds, he also had a bluegrass career, country recording session career in his own right. Invented this thing called the B-Bender guitar, which is something that is a whole nother video in its entirety. But essentially, it's a guitar where the strap is connected to like a button, and when you kind of lift your arm up for the strap to gain some tautness, it bends the guitar string for you, kind of like a pedal steel guitar. If you don't know what I'm talking about, there's a video out there with Marty Stewart where he's talking about his guitar, because his guitar used to belong to Clarence White. So Clarence and Gene Parsons had this partnership where they invented this guitar. Anyway, after the Byrds, Gene had his own solo career, albeit a brief one, if I'm not mistaken. Um, and he put out a couple of solid records. This is the first record. This is called Kinlan. There's Gene with that great mustache. Looks like a Civil War general. But I saw this in the store, and I texted Tommy and said, Tommy, I'm seeing this Gene Parsons record at the store. What do I do? And he's like, which one? And I said, it's Kindling. And Tommy was like, you know, that's a great record. That's a Sam record. And keep in mind, I'd already bought the Rod Stewart and the Tony Rice records. So I was like, I don't know. It's another $16. You know, I've never heard the record before. So I'm like, I'm going to pass on it. So later that night, I'm getting messages from Tommy and then my other friend, Ross, who also knows this record. And they were both saying, Sam, you should have picked it up, man. That's a good one. His music isn't really on streaming. It's hard to listen to, blah, blah, blah. And so finally I'm like, I don't know, guys. I'm like, you know, I'm trying to get ready for a wedding, all that stuff. Well, come to find out, Tommy and Ross both split the difference in the price and sent me a Venmo gift of, you know, enough money to cover the record. So I went back to the store the next day on Sunday. It was raining outside. It was sleet outside. It was cold. I found a parking space, went inside, saw the owner again. He was laughing that I was back, and picked this up. And again, very happy I did. But you have Clarence White is on here. Ralph Stanley is on here. The mandolin player, or the banjo player, Clarence White, like I said. Vassar Clements is on fiddle. Roger Bush is on bass. You know, just Bill Payne is on synthesizer from 1973. So I got Kindling by Gene Parsons. Thank you, Tommy and Ross. So there you go, longer video. But again, I wanted to get this one out there before my end of the month video because this was kind of a spur of the moment thing. Anyway, let me know what you think about these records. Do these records mean anything to you? I would love to hear your comments below. In the meantime, y'all be good, take care, and we'll talk to you in the next one. Bye now.